Hello and welcome to the ParkStop podcast, episode 33.
Whoa, what is happening?
Was that loud?
You caught me off guard.
My name is Alicia Stella. With me, as always, is my co-host Ian.
Hey, kids.
And today we have an
Yeah.
emergency impromptu episode talking about the Jurassic World VelociCoaster.
That I have never been on.
I have just been on for
Yeah.
the first time and only time just a few hours ago, and I rushed right home to talk about it because I liked it so much.
Is that true? You rushed home?
No, I stayed at the park for like
Yeah, that's
another
what I
6.5 hours, but
So tell me all about it since I can't write it yet.
well, as you know, because I've been talking to you in the last few days, I suddenly got cold feet and was starting to get scared because everyone was talking about how intense it is and how it's a lot more fast than it looks from the outside. So I was starting to get really worried. This will be
And then you did it
This will
anyway.
be my first impressions review, and there will be tons of spoilers. And if you're watching the video version, I'm going to show all the Q spoilers, so you've been warned about spoilers. But I'm probably
It's kind of what we do.
going to lose my voice because I screamed the entire time, and I don't scream on coasters normally. Because as soon as the lap bar goes down, I'm like, that's it.
Now you're stuck.
That's all I have to hold on to
you
is
get is this
these
lap
two
bar.
little handles in front of me, and then the team member, she like comes by and she smooshes it down real far, and I'm like, oh my god, I have to pee, don't push right there, and because when I get nervous I have to pee, and then throughout the whole ride I'm like, thank god she smooshed this down, because I was coming out of my seat the whole time. I had a cord on my glasses and they're bouncing off my face. Yeah, it's
Oh man.
I was
awesome.
really worried it would be too intense, but it's like, in my mind, the Hulk is more intense because it bashes your head around, and this does not have anything to bash your head into. It's so smooth, and there's a lot of G's, but they're the negative floaty G's.
I'm so jealous.
My first reaction getting off of this ride is like, okay, that's my new favorite roller coaster ever, which I've only been on roller coasters in like Florida, so that's my favorite roller coaster in Florida. But
That's
like
awesome.
the red fire dragon, Dueling Dragons, was my favorite coaster, and it was always the first thing I would go to when I go to Islands of Adventure. And when they took it away, I haven't had like this is my first thing I go on when I go to the park. Now I do again. This is definitely,
That's perfect.
when VelociCoaster is fully open, June 10th, this is definitely my first stop every single time I go to the park, because I like my feeling like I'm floating, flying type roller coasters.
Okay, so let's get to the important part here. You ready?
Yeah.
I was right. There's screens, right?
Yes, there's screens. Not only are there screens in the first scene, which, by the way, there was so much fog, I couldn't actually see the screens. I saw like a silhouette of a raptor running, which actually makes it more realistic because it's like through the fog. But also in the queue, the windows, which we've talked about numerous times, there'll be a windows you can see into the second launch tunnel. Not only are there windows, but there's see-through LCD screens or something. So you see the coaster train go by.
Oh, that's
and
cool.
Then you see raptors run after it. And I only heard about it like a couple days ago when team members started riding, and I'm like, oh, I did not foresee this.
So it's like an AR window?
Sorta, yeah. It's like everyone thought it was fake. Cool. Everyone thought the coaster going by was just projected also. And I'm like, no, that is actually a window into reality. You can see the fins and everything.
That is so cool.
But you also have the raptors superimposed. They come after the train.
So cool.
It was really
that is awesome. That's a cool little thing.
I was when I heard about that, I'm like, I'm gonna stand in that hallway until I see it. And I told the people behind me, you can keep going. I need to see this. I need to see this happen. Luckily I didn't have to wait very long. It happened like 10 seconds later, but they're so good with the time on this. Like the team members doing an amazing job with the capacity on this. Like, just keeps going. It's perfect because like the first scene when you're looking at the raptors being let loose and then you launch, it's just enough time for unload and load to happen. So you don't have to wait in waiting. Like, there's not a backup because they timed it so well.
That's awesome.
So you have
That's very cool.
So like people are unloading and loading, people are in first scene, and then by the time one is done, the next one is ready. It's perfect.
So what's your favorite part of the queue? Like, what I know you posted a video, but I what's your favorite part? What did you like the most about the queue besides that window?
Well, we'd already seen photos, and we even seen a more recent one, like yesterday, of
Hmm.
the animatronic raptor heads in the stables, which there are only
Yep.
two. We were hoping for four, but there are two. But there's one
Oh,
on each side, so it's still pretty cool. And those are amazing.
can I pet
And
it?
you could technically reach it, but I think there's a team member there that you're not supposed to. It's a
Sweet.
little like I could reach it. I have long enough arms, and if I lean forward, I could probably. But
Mm,
you're not supposed to. I mean,
must pet the
it's like
dino.
4 feet away. You could lean and make it work, but okay, maybe three. But I knew that was going to be there. I knew the statues are going to be there. I knew the window was going to be. The window was cool.
Hmm.
I actually enjoyed the video right before load, which I couldn't film because I had to put my stuff in the locker, of
Yep.
Claire and Owen talking. I was just laughing the whole time. It's so silly and it's so over the top. And this ride is so perfect because Owen is standing in the second launch tunnel and Claire is up in the station, and like out the windows you can see the coaster testing or whatever. And Owen is in the
Yep.
launch tunnel, and in the launch tunnel are like the cages for the raptors, and they're like ornery, and Owen's like, well, yeah, they're in a bad mood because no one's fed them recently. And then and he's like, he's also like giving you the safety spiel. And he's like, you better keep your hands and legs inside if you don't want to lose any of your fingers. But what was it getting to? Oh,
Your favorite
no, my
part.
favorite part. It's just him saying, yeah, brilliant idea. Let's put a roller coaster into the raptor paddock. Like it's so perfect. The level of cheese is just right.
It's
Like
so
this
awesome.
attraction knows what it is. Claire's like got this like fake smile, like corporate thing going on, where she's like, oh, and just read what it says. And it's like, oh yeah, just keep your hands and feet inside, otherwise you will die. Like it was
I can even picture him and hear him saying that. That's
it's
amazing.
like in a pretend like all in one shot where they use these like weird digital zooms to stitch together different takes, but it looks like it's done through
Yeah.
surveillance footage type of thing, and it's like just so funny to me. They're- and they
That sounds
and then like,
perfect.
oh, and then you could see he gets mad because they zap one of the raptors through the holes in the paddock wall, and you can see he's
Hmm.
like, this wasn't part of the deal. And like, you can see him getting really mad. He's like, they're aggravated and they're hungry, and you're going to send tourists into here. So
That's
that ended up
amazing.
being, and you're in there just long enough. Like, this queue is like my new favorite queue. The waterfront area is my new favorite area because, I'm obsessed with Jurassic World and Park. Hearing the new music score and like in this area, and then you go to the other side of the Discovery Center and hearing the original music score, like you got Jurassic Park and the Lost World playing on one side, and you got Jurassic World and Fallen Kingdom playing on the other side, and I'm like, this is kind of perfect. We got the best of both worlds here.
That's awesome. I did see speaking of Jurassic Park, I did see they brought the DNA guy back.
Mr. DNA,
Mr.
where did you
DNA.
come from your blood.
Sorry.
He's It's so well integrated too, because like you don't get too bored in the queue if you're waiting, and like there's this really cool lighting effect in the statue room in the entry area. Like whenever the coaster is going
Mhm.
overhead, everything turns red and it like pulses, and then you hear the raptor scream. And then Mr. Day Day comes up and he's like, I'm gonna help you. You're learn how to use the lockers. And I'm like, oh my god, Mr. DNA, you can learn me anything.
That's so
And
good. Yeah, I was so excited when I saw
they like
that.
well integrate some slight knowledge about velociraptors and then like stitch it into knowledge about the locker so that you're prepared by the time you get there. Like saying like
That's awesome.
the name velociraptor means swift thief, and they have the bite strength of an American alligator, and also you better not have any loose articles on you because if you drop them in the paddock we ain't gonna get them. And I'm like, oh my god, he's just so perfectly transitioned into that little safety spiel.
It's
Yeah.
so good.
No, he was
I want a wall like the wooden wall with like the planks are kind of like set some of them are set farther in, some of them stick out. I love that wall that you walk down in the queue.
Yeah, the music was so ominous in
Do
there
you know what I'm
too.
talking
I think
about?
so.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, the
It looked cool. I was like, I want a wall like
I
that.
wonder
I
who
have to
played
make
Mr.
that.
DNA because Colin Trevorrow played him in Jurassic World, but he's barely visible in Jurassic World. He's in the Innovation
Yeah, I
Center.
know.
One of the songs that plays in the courtyard is the Innovation Center theme, which is like not movie score music.
Ah,
It's like
that's
Michael
awesome.
Giacchino wrote it to be like the music that plays in the Innovation Center in the background while they're talking. So
That
hearing that like
is awesome.
overly triumphant, happy, it plays on the monorail too, I think. Like this, like it's a march. It's like what John Hammond said, the whole marches haven't even been written yet. Like this is the march that he was talking about. And it plays in the courtyard.
It's so good.
Uh,
It's so good.
and
It's
they play
so
the
good.
Jurassic Park theme in the courtyard, but it's the Giacchino version. So it's from Jurassic World, even though
Really?
it's Jurassic Park. So like you kind of get a little of everything. And then of course the main theme. So on to the ride. We should talk about the ride.
Yes, please.
Um
What's your favorite part? What was the scariest part? Give me all the
the
stuff.
scariest part is everything in my mind before it started. Because that's way worse than the actual ride. Also, I think I was in the second row, the second row of the whole train, and I think because there's what like two rows per car, and then there however many cars make up the whole train. The second row in each one can
Yep.
put their feet up behind the first row, but if you're in the first row of each car, your feet dangle. And I think being able to put my feet up made it a little less scary because if they were just free floating, I think I would have been more terrified because you
Ooh.
already come out of your seat enough. And I could have had them free floating, but I put them in front of me. The whole time though, my foot's like tapping. I'm like pulsing my foot because I'm scared. Um, yeah, no, like as soon as the first launch hit and you start going up, I go, oh yeah, that's right. I like roller coasters. Like as soon as it starts, and you get this like sensation of like, ooh, I'm floating, which reminded me of the beginning of Dueling Dragons on the red side. The one that doesn't do the barrel roll at the beginning, where you just like, oh, I'm floating. But then you come back down and immediately it feels like your head's gonna get chopped off by the rock work. Like immediate, like the first move
Oh
coming back down, and
man.
I'm like, this is too low. That's too low. I have to scrunch down like a turtle. Um, then you turn and I'm like I'm trying to not miss the raptors, but I saw Blue and whoever was on the right, the weird tan one, Echo. I don't know. Um,
Yeah, I think that's Echo. I can't remember.
and then you turn again and come back around and you see the other two, and I'm like, oh, it's kind of two moments, and I wasn't thinking. I was thinking they were all in a row, but it's like boom and then boom, and they do roar as you pass by them. Although, despite
That's
despite
nice.
what people may say, I can tell that they're not moving. But I also was trying to pay attention for them at that moment. I knew they were coming up, so I'm looking for them. But I'm interested to see what it looks like at night. They do have a strobe light, so it is Disco Raptors. It's
Ooh.
intended to be Disco Raptors from the
Oh.
start.
Oh.
So I'm curious to see I think this ride at night is going to be way different because there's no way to anticipate. Already as it is, this ride is very, very fast and very powerful, and there isn't a break. Like you get little mini breaks with Hagrid because there's like 7 launches, but there's
Yep.
little moments where you're on tires or you're coasting or you even stopped. And this one, none of that. There's even going from like the coming into the second launch tunnel and going to the second launch is moving from like 40 to 70 miles per hour. So there is no brakes.
That's awesome though. I like that. It sounds fun.
And I don't mean like no brakes, but I do mean no brakes because there are no trim brakes or anything. There's no slowing down. It is the opposite of Hollywood Rip Ride Rocket, which is a nonstop braking fiasco. This is a nonstop going forward triumph.
So how's that top hat when you slow down up there? How's the view up there?
It ended up being taller than I was thinking. You could see for miles. I don't know why, because everyone kept telling me like how intense the rest of the ride was, and that the top hat was actually like the only nice like moment of catching your breath. And as I'm going up, I'm like, okay, this is a nice slow part, and I'm up at the top, and I'm like, it's also incredibly tall. But it's actually a really good view up there. It's weird because like I screamed the whole time, and then lots of people were screaming. But when you get launched up that top hat, it's silent. Like no one can remember how to make a sound for a moment. And then you crest over the top and then everyone starts screaming again. So
It's like the silent oh crap.
I never felt that it needed music either. That's something that like people have been wondering without onboard audio. There's tons of sound in the first part, and then the second part between the sound of the coaster and the sound of screams, it definitely doesn't feel like it needs it.
Yeah. Did you enjoy the roll over the water? Because that is what I'm looking forward to the
I mean, I was
most.
the most scared about that. I was actually scared about the 540 and that. I was worried I was like going to gray out or something, but no, it's not like the Hulk. I gray out on the Hulk. This is like the 540 was interesting because it is going really fast. The upside down part, I was really worried about that because I hate feeling like you're going to fall out, but it happens in such a way that it's not pinning you into the seat. You are falling out, but you've been falling out the whole ride, so it's no different. You're used to it by this point. There's like that little waggle on the 540. I like that little waggle.
Oh yeah,
That might
yeah,
be one of
yeah.
my favorite moments. Is that little because you're not going too fast at that moment, and you can enjoy the woo woo, the woo woo. Yeah. No, going up to the mosasaur roll. I think I'm going. Oh my god, here it is, and I'm holding one hand on the thing and one hand on my glasses because I know that I'm gonna lose my glasses. But then as it happens, I'm like, it's like two rolls in one. You start and then it wiggles and then you finish. So like it's not a heartline roll
That's
where it's
cool.
all one roll. It's more like a whoop woo. So
That's
it's very
cool. Oh,
unique
I can't wait for that
because
part. Mm.
there's a heartline roll on Cheetah Hunt that I don't like because you kind of fall out. Same thing on the Tigress at Busch Gardens where you turn so slow that you literally just fall right out. This one, it turns fast enough that you stay in, but then it also whips turns back. So it's kind of unique.
That's
It's got
cool.
its own little thing going on. That's why it has its own name. It's special.
I can't wait for that part. I want to go on the coaster so badly just for that alone.
And at the
Just
end,
if it was just like a straight run and then that, I'd be happy with that too. I can't wait to go on this ride. Oh my.
And
Mm.
at the end, when you turn into the tunnel, then there's sound again, and you hear the raptors, and there's like a something comes over the intercom, and it's like the paddock is clear, safe, and Claire's like, oh, and you're needed. There's a incident going on at the river adventure, so that's neat. It's like, oh, it's tying it together to the other thing, even though it's a completely different film series. I was thinking because I know people that have been following know that we talked about the original plans having some kind of final scene where like a raptor chases you and then another dinosaur jumps out in front of you.
Yep.
Uh, and I don't feel like it's missing that because at this point you're just like coasting into the station, so it doesn't and it feels and
Hmm.
there's music and there's like sound and you hear the raptors and it feels very complete because that mosasaur roll is really the finale to the ride. But also I
Yeah.
wonder if they cut it because it was a choice between having an extra train on for capacity or having that final scene, because if there's a backup at the station you can't do that scene.
Yeah.
There's no way. If there was a backup and the scene is playing, you'd just be sitting there like looking at a frozen dinosaur in front of you. So, I think it was either,
Yeah.
have 3 trains in a scene or have 4 trains and get an extra, few hundred an hour here.
Yeah. If it doesn't need it, it doesn't need it. I mean, it probably would have been cool, but it is what it is.
I mean, I think
Does Chris Pratt come on the screen and say things would have been better or would have been fine if I just got my cup of coffee?
there's no need for a screen.
Because they
It's
should
just
have.
sound. It's just sound. But
They should have done that. They should have done that.
See, that's cheesy like in a whole other way. This is cheesy in a way that it knows
I
it's
know, but
cheesy. It's like a realistic cheese. That's camp.
I think it
The
would have been
Mummy is
funny
camp.
personally.
This
Sorry.
is cheese. There's a
Totally.
difference.
Totally. I totally still think that would have been great if they did that at the end.
Oh, there's
And Pratt could have pulled it off too.
no. I think the locker situation is so good. It's so perfect.
Yeah.
It's so
It seems much easier.
besides Mr. DNA telling you 3 times throughout the queue how it's going to work and that like be sure to dump any liquids before putting your cups in the lockers, and it's like, oh, thank you, Mr.
Oh
DNA.
man.
The double-sided thing works so well. Mr. DNA tells you that they're double-sided. Did you see the Mr. DNA shirts that are for sale?
Yeah, I saw some people standing. I saw a picture of people standing with a Mr. DNA from like, yesterday.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. They have shirts. They sell
So
3 different shirts now in the Jurassic Outfitters
that
store.
is
I need
perfect.
that
That's
yellow one. I
perfect.
need that yellow one so bad. It says, like, Jurassic
They don't have a
Genetics
black
on
one,
the
do
back.
they?
They have one with that's a baseball shirt with white and black. It's not fully black, I'm
I only wear
sorry.
black shirts.
Yeah. Well, you
I only
saw
wear
what I
black
wore
shirts.
today. It says, "That's a
Yep.
terrible idea," and the terrible's written, like, Pteranodon with a
Yep. I
P.
saw that.
That's actually
Yep.
a line in the
Silent
ride.
P.
He's like, "It's a terrible idea." I
That's
was like, "Thank you,
perfect.
Owen, for saying the line."
Perfect.
I
That's
squealed with joy every time
perfect.
he said a joke. Um, there's a
He's
Triceratops
awesome.
figure in the pre-show video, that could be like a little nod to the Triceratops encounter, and there's a photograph, Raptor encounter, entertainment people, somewhere in the pre-show.
Oh, that's cool.
Because they
That's
had
very
because they had
cool.
to move that too. So the 2 things they moved ended up in the pre-show video. Oh, there's, Alan Grant's book somewhere, in the queue,
Yep.
and Ian Malcolm's book.
Because Ian Malcolm's the best.
And I'm making an Easter eggs at Islands of Adventure video, which I actually filmed a little bit this morning while I was waiting for my turn. This is a pass holder preview. I don't think I said that earlier. You had to have a reservation to. We probably should have started with that. This was a pass holder preview. You had to have a reservation. The ride officially opens June 10th, but I bet you they do soft opens before then. Anyway,
Oh,
I was
definitely.
filming the other day, a week and a half ago or a week ago. There's an Alan Grant book, and it's based on like the fake book that Tim is carrying around in the original Jurassic Park. There's like a fake version in the store, the Dino store at Discovery Center, and it looks just like the dust cover version of the book that in Jurassic Park. So I'm filming it, and then someone posts, "Look, Alan Grant's book is in the VelociCoaster." I'm like, "Well, now I have to film it twice. I have to film it there too for my Easter egg video." I'm glad it was easy to find though.
Yeah.
It's like right there, right next to Mr. DNA telling you about the sink. Um, so yeah, the lockers. The lockers are really smart. And then there's posters all along the locker area for the different attractions at Jurassic World. But it includes stuff that you would
hmm
expect, like, oh, there's a really good poster for VelociCoaster. It looks great. But there's a posters like, here's the Mosasaur show, and here's the Gyrosphere ride, Gyrosphere Valley, and like all these different things that are actually in the movie. And then there's things that are actually in this land, like Pteranodon Flyers is there, and the River Adventure is there, but it has Jurassic World logo. And then everyone's like, "Oh, they're going to redo the River Adventure." And it's like, no, I think it's a little playful nod. And then there's a Camp Cretaceous poster and an Indominus Rex poster, and they say "coming soon" on them.
Ooh.
And other people are like, "Well, coming soon, they're going to retheme Camp Jurassic into Camp Cretaceous." But one of the team members saw me filming it, and he's like, "That says coming soon. You know why?" And I was like, "Because in the canon of the timeline of this ride, the Camp Cretaceous is about to open up, and the Indominus Rex exhibit is about to open up." And he's like, "That's exactly right." Because
That's
it's not
awesome.
that they're bringing it to Islands of Adventure. It's that in the movie Jurassic World, they were about to unveil a new dinosaur, and they in the TV show Camp Cretaceous, the kids are going as like a preview for something that's coming soon to the park, but then the park explodes. Um,
Seems to keep happening. You think they'd learn?
yeah, I like the idea that we're just going to keep making more media that takes place exactly at the same time that all hell breaks loose. Like Jurassic World, the ride in California takes place when the Indominus breaks out. Camp Cretaceous season 1 takes place when the Indominus breaks out. This ride actually takes place before the Indominus breaks out, which is a little refreshing. It's like a prequel.
Yeah, but you already know what's coming, so now you're just getting chased by hungry, grumpy raptors. So
Yeah.
that's great.
That's a terrible idea. Uh, Super,
Yeah,
super
yeah.
easy. That's with a P. Super easy to get your stuff out of the locker. There's a single rider line. It is not open. It's not covered up though. I like how they did it. The single rider line has its own lockers and its own metal detector.
That's cool.
And
That's
and
very
it
cool.
goes through. It only goes through the first part with the raptor statues, and it misses. I think it definitely misses the window. The express line goes through the window scene with the second launch, and the express line goes through where the heads are. That's why there's one on one side and one on the other side. That way, express gets to also have a photo op with the stables. Oh, I forgot to pay attention to the
Mhm.
smells. There's supposed to be the scent of like mulch type smell in the paddock area. I forgot to smell in there.
Whoa.
Like it's supposed to be outdoorsy barn area. Yeah, I was trying to
Oh,
film and then they
man.
were like, "Move along, nothing to see here." And I'm like, "What do you there's raptor heads and they're snarling. What do you mean there's nothing to see here?" No, he actually said, "I know
I
they're
wanna
really cool,
pet it.
but you need to keep moving." And I'm like, oh, "Okay."
I
Um
wanna pet it.
I'm so close. You have no idea. I want to, but so the express line goes
Must
through
pet the
there, but
dino.
the single rider line, it's kind of like the it's a little bit better than the Skull Island one where single riders misses everything. At least you get the first scene here.
Those lockers, though, it's such a simple and genius idea. I really like that they did it that way,
I mean,
like, a
I think
lot.
some
It's
regional
very
parks
cool.
do that, and it is really clever with the double-sided. Put your stuff in on one side, and like they have numbers, so remember your locker station 1 or whatever, but they also have pictures of dinosaurs and colors. So they kind of got, they got you covered. You can remember just
How do they work?
they work the same as the other standard size lockers at other rides. You just
Which
park ticket, scan, yeah,
ticket? Okay.
scan the barcode because the fingerprint thing, there's too many problems.
Yep.
But you scan your park ticket, locker opens, put your stuff in, close it. So you can't bring anything, and there's a metal detector, but you must bring your ticket on the ride.
Oh, man. What if my ticket's in my phone?
You can get a temporary locker ticket that's only a barcode for lockers.
Oh, thankfully.
I use that anyway. I don't
That's
like
great.
carrying my ticket on the ride. I'd rather lose a piece of
Yeah,
paper
yeah.
than have to go get a new ticket.
Yeah, no thank you.
Oh, I forget, like at nighttime too, they have like that warden
Mm,
tower with the searchlight and the
yeah,
lighting
I can't
effects.
ooh,
Oh, also,
that's gonna look awesome.
When
Mm,
Owen is not being
mhm,
absolutely hilarious
mhm.
in the pre-show video, Claire says, "Let's learn about the ride vehicles you'll be riding in," and it shows like a 3D rendering, and it
Oh,
talks
no.
about the technology, and it says that it uses infrared light to keep the raptors away through special technology, and it shows the little 4-point lights, and I'm like, "Oh, I guessed it." As I've been trying it, like
That's
I
right.
knew it was somehow part of the story, and it's going to keep us safe. And that's what I think they called it infrared technology to keep the raptors away without a shield,
Oh,
without
that's pretty cool. Without a
without like
shield.
a physical barrier. I think it said without a physical barrier between you and the raptor or something like that.
Oh, man. It's like shark repellent, like the magnetic shark repellent things. You know, infrared
All I
light.
could think is bat shark repellent bat. I was thinking of it like a deer whistle. That's like you put on the front hood of your car, and it's supposed to keep deers away from your
Yeah,
car.
that
I don't think that
it
actually works.
doesn't
Yeah, it
work.
doesn't actually. Well,
It doesn't work.
yeah. Well, and I was if this ride had onboard audio, I assure you they would have done something like, "Oh no, the infrared lights are failing. You're on your own." Like, but because there's no on-ride audio, they can't do that.
Good luck. Told you not to put the Taurus in there.
Uh,
Oh, that's awesome. Uh,
So I don't know if it's
mm.
staying, but they turned the lower level of the Discovery Center into a gift shop. And Owen actually makes a joke that like, and if you survive, you get to exit through the gift shop. And they actually did have us exit through the gift shop. And we'd have to go
That's
upstairs
great.
out through the burger digs. But according to someone, it's supposed to just be a pop-up store. But I wonder if by pop-up store they mean like they just put it up really fast because it wasn't there 2 days ago. So, but like,
It popped up overnight.
yeah, but it has a really good full scale, like realistic raptor figure in there, like right when
Oh,
you walk
that's
in, and it
cool.
looks really cool. So, it's integrated well, and they're not using the exhibits right
Good.
now, so it doesn't bother me.
That's cool.
I see.
That's
I
very
say
cool.
full
Did you
scale.
take a picture with that thing?
I did not get a photo with it. I got a tons of
Oh,
video, but I did not get a photo of that. I got a ton of photos of the statues inside the queue and a couple photos of a couple other things, but I need to go through again. I'm hoping they soft open as soon as like Thursday, which might be when this
they
comes out. Like, wouldn't that be
they probably
great?
will sooner than later.
Because like they're
That'd
doing
be awesome.
previews through the 5th. That's Wednesday, I think. Yeah, Wednesday. So the 6th Thursday
Wednesday.
could be could be the soonest they could soft open to everyone. They had the technical rehearsal
Yeah.
sign up for us.
Yeah, when they seem to take a little extra time getting it ready even before you guys got to go on it. So hopefully it just keeps going without any issues.
Yeah.
I might knock on wood
We
now.
got a month and a week before it officially grand opens. The more people they can put on it, the
So
shorter that
far,
line will be on opening day, you know?
there's potential I could be there in the grand opening. That'd be kind of fun.
That would be
There's
awesome.
potential.
Oh,
Nothing guaranteed, but there's potential.
yeah. Yeah, I want to go on again. I really like the walking around the area in front of the Discovery Center now. Besides the
Yeah.
energy of like the coaster going by, they have tons of insect sounds and dinosaur sounds playing in the bushes.
Oh, that's
So like
awesome.
as soon as you walked into the area, I heard a brachiosaur call. It reminded me of Jurassic Park, where Alan Grant's like, just do like they do, and it went, and I'm like, oh my god, it's a brachiosaur. There's tons of different dinosaur roars, and like they're spread out. It's like being in Pandora, but with music.
Oh,
Yeah, that
I want to go on that bridge too.
and the bridge was closed, and they have this cute gate with the Jurassic logo on it. But the Burger Digs upstairs patio opened today for the first time in a long time since construction started. So I actually got to eat lunch with the view of the coaster just every 45 seconds coming by.
That's
So
cool.
that was really nice. I really like eating up there, especially when I'm trying to eat outside. So now I get a really beautiful view. It's like a 40-minute loop of Jurassic World score. It's got the brachiosaur roar every once in a
That's
while, and the coaster going
that's pretty good.
by.
But how's the food? How's the
It's
food though?
Burger Digs.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I don't
There's always
I
a
don't get the
downside.
burger there. I suggest not
You go
getting
to
the
Burger Digs
don't
and
get the
don't
burger
get
from
burger.
Burger Digs. It's not that great. I don't know. They switched to only having the big one, and I don't like the big one. We didn't talk too much about the coaster, but to be fair, I was only on the coaster for a minute and a half.
We did. We talked about your favorite parts and how the top hat was and the roll and
uh,
you got to see the
that that
dinos.
um that second launch really packs a punch. Like you think that
Yeah.
the Dragonfire on the Hagrid coaster, you think that is like powerful because it like lasts so long, but then you get on this one and in a shorter distance goes twice as hard. And then
Ooh.
shoots you up the 155 feet in a second. Like you're halfway up
Oh, I
the
can't
top
wait.
hat before you
Can't
realize you're
wait.
up the top hat. Like you're halfway there before you realize
Can't wait.
when did I turn up? I thought I was still going forward. Like you think
I
you're gonna
can't wait.
end up
Oh
in Toon
man.
Lagoon, and then you open your eyes and you realize you're at the top of the world.
I'm gonna get there and I have 2 coasters to go on.
Right?
Like immediately. Oh.
Yeah, I can't wait till it's open all
Mm,
the time, really.
mm. So wait, the rockwork was really how many times you go in and out of that?
Like 4.
I know it's like a couple because I was gonna say it seemed like a couple, like a lot
1,
considering.
2, 3, 4. Yeah, I think 4. And
That's
and
awesome.
and
That's
the
cool. And it
first
looks
time and
great.
the last time are like beyond head choppers. Like you got to duck. Like I don't know how people had their arms up. First of all, I don't know how people had their arms up at all. I had to hold one hand on my glasses and the other hand to hold me in because you're floating the whole time. I rode in the front.
Just gonna duct tape your
I heard
glasses
if you're
on.
riding in the back that like the top hat whips you and you jump out of your seat because like the front half is already going down the top hat, and by the time the back half gets to the top, so it's just like
Yeah.
wants to detach from the track and like fly you like a catapult out of your seat. So I tried to
Sounds
request the
fun.
front, and they're like, no, there's too many people, we can't have you request the front. And I'm like, okay, but just don't put me in the back. I don't want my first ride to be me flying out of the coaster.
Oh, I want to go in the back.
Someone said they staple
I
you
like the
in.
back.
That's the team members have been told to staple people in. Just smush.
Ooh.
For larger size people who are worried, this is definitely the most accommodating roller coaster at Universal. Way more
What
accommodating
about
than Hulk, and certainly more
what
accommodating.
about height?
Yeah, I think it's.
What about
I don't
height?
know what the height limit is, but I would suggest ducking in the rockwork regardless of your height. But it's got endless room for leg work, like your legs. Like, I'm somewhat tall, and I'm uncomfortable on Fast and Furious and Kong in some of the rows because it's too close for your knees, and I have to like sit sideways. This is not one of those situations. You got tons of room. It's not like the Mummy or the Gringotts where you're in this little squeezed in thing with the weird shape and your knees are tightly squeezed in. This isn't like Hulk where even in the modified seating, if your chest dimensions are too big, this thing goes over you so perfectly, and it only goes like over your waist. Um, First
That's
time I
cool. Yeah,
rode
because
Hagrid, yeah,
my buddy acts like 6'4", and he can never fit on because of his legs. I mean, he's a big dude too, but usually his legs are what
yeah,
cause
no,
him
the
the
legs.
problem.
I think the
So
legs are fine as long as your head isn't too tall. I think
cool.
you'll be okay.
No, he's tall, so
But there's a test seat out front, and there's a test
Hagrid's.
seat in the locker area. And I remember when I went on Hagrid, the test seat for the sidecar, I had issue and almost didn't fit. So like this is not that at all. Like I did the test seat and the light turns on when it gets to the good point, and I still had like several more inches before I would be in trouble. So like
That's
that
cool.
is really nice. And I talked to some other folks and they didn't have any problems at all either, and they have problems with the other coasters. So finally, and maybe because it's not a Potter ride, the Potter rides are the worst for accommodating. So no,
Yeah,
they did a lot right with
yeah.
this. They
Bums,
really did.
bums the tall people out when they can't get on the ride because their legs don't fit.
Without the over the shoulder restraints, there's nothing for your head to rattle into and bash your brain about. There's nothing to worry about in chest dimensions not fitting. If you're full
Hmm.
chested, you don't have to worry about that hurting. Uh, yeah, it's great. It's like a whole new land of the park. The way they Jurassic Worlded it, it really feels like it's a whole new land.
That's awesome. That's very cool.
Yeah. My only complaint is I would like to see the raptor bite. I think blue, just one of the four. I think it would be really neat if they had a biting mechanism so that the figure could just snap when you pass by it. That's all I ask for.
Yeah, that would be cool. I mean, I understand they're outside and stuff, but I still think I wish they moved a little bit. That'd be cool.
I think,
You cut an end scene. Give me a snap and wrapper thing.
I was going to say the fluffy three-headed dog on Hagrid moves, but then it's also got that like rubber skin flappiness to it that doesn't feel like a real figure. Like it should have been fur, but
Yeah.
it's outside, so I get it. So like that's the downside to having a moving figure like that. But at the same time, if you watch what is it, Chamber of Secrets with the Fluffy, it looks like that. The
Hmm.
3D looks like a big plastic
Yep.
dog, so it kind of works in a way. But
Oh
yeah,
man,
that's the only
it
thing I would
does.
I would I would have liked to have a blue snap, and like you hear the sound of it snap, like the alligator. They set up that whole alligator bite
So cool.
force. That would have been neat.
That's so
But
cool.
other than that, it's
Mm.
a minor complaint. I think the actual coaster stuff is amazing. I think it's the best or my favorite. I don't want to say it's the best because I don't know. It's my favorite roller coaster in Florida. And I have been on.
Yeah, I've been hearing that a lot.
I've been on all the coasters at SeaWorld and Busch Gardens, and those are the bigger coasters.
Yeah, I've been hearing a lot from people, even coaster fans. Some of the coaster fans have been saying it's their new favorite. It's their new number
Yeah,
one.
I've like
So that's
things that
cool.
you always hear are like people's favorites, and then they're saying this is better than that.
Yeah, a few of the coaster fans are all like, "Yeah, this is my favorite coaster now." So
because
that's
because
really
it
cool to
doesn't
hear.
let up.
And
Like the
it's good for
the
Universal.
problem with things like Hulk is it starts so strong, almost too strong, and then it just kind of peters out at the end. By doing this to
Yep, it
launch, the
does.
the faster part of the ride's in the middle. But the front part is not slow by any means. So it is a fast ride all the way
Hmm.
through, and you don't have to worry about the lift hill and then running out of gravity by the end, or a single launch and running out of gravity. It is
Yeah. Oh, can't
it is two
wait.
rides in one, and there is no
Cannot
break in the
wait.
middle.
Yeah, my friend Kay is excited to go on that too. She's a huge dinosaur fan. Oh,
Yeah, I got to go on it again and
I
pet
heard you got
them.
this.
What?
Yeah, got to pet the dinos. I heard you snuck on a Pteranodon Flyers. Pteranodon
I did.
Flyers,
I
sorry.
did. Uh,
Borrowed a kid. I need to
I
borrow a
was
kid.
babysitting.
I need to go on
I
that
was
ride.
bribed with being able to ride Toronto. It's her favorite ride, though. So
I want to go on it.
it was
Can I
it
babysit
was a
too? Can I
win-win
help?
situation for both of us because it's her favorite ride.
Oh,
And I got to go. This is only my second time on Pteranodon Flyers, and I filmed with my phone.
I need a niece or a nephew.
I filmed with my phone because I was like, this is never going to happen again. I need to commemorate this moment.
Yep. You're like, Ian's never gonna see this. I need to share it.
But it's really cool though. The queue and the actual ride, you get to
Oh.
see into the raptor paddock area. So
So
if
cool.
little kids, can't go on the VelociCoaster, or if you're too scared to, you can actually get a view of 2 of the 4 raptors from the Pteranodon Flyers. That thing swings a lot.
That's so
Like
cool.
at the end of the ride,
Yeah, that's what I hear.
I'm like,
That's what I
I need to
hear.
put like a cord on my phone. I almost dropped it. I was holding it with 2 hands. It started swinging at the end, and I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa.
That's great.
Okay, I think that's gonna wrap up our discussion on this ride. I'm exhausted. It's been a long day. Did you see my my little bumpy figure I posted to Twitter? They're selling some Camp
No, I
Cretaceous
have to go
stuff.
look.
Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.